pleasant good evening, everybody. It is now time for the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Wrap-Up Show. I want to thank all my loyal viewers for being with me here on this Sunday night. We had a great sports weekend. It was worth the talking about. However, we had two big series in the Major League Baseball to start out the week. I want to do a look ahead to the NBA playoffs. We're going to be here for about the next half hour or so. I want to thank you guys ahead for being with me on this late night. We hope to have a great show. Let's jump right into it because we have a whole heck of a lot to talk about in the next half hour or so. Where do we start? The Chicago Cubs swept the St. Louis Cardinals in front of a packed house at Wrigley tonight. It was a 2-0 shutout. I saw the game on Friday when the Cubs came back to beat the Cardinals and then he performed to come from behind. Now the Cardinals find themselves one game below 500. Unbelievable. I'll get to that in a minute. But the Cubs got the job done in this series. And how did they do that? Well, Jock Peterson was a big contributor. 3 for 12 with 3 runs, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, and he had 1 strikeout. Let's give him some love. Chris Bryant. He was 1 for 10, an RBI, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Anthony Rizzo, 2 for 10 with a run, a home run, 3 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout. So I will be a little bit nice to him. But Sergio Alcantara, he came over from the Detroit Tigers during the offseason. And in his 3-game set, he had a pretty good series. He went for 2 for 7 with a triple, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. So therefore, and now let me say this too. In all fairness, I have never seen a series so great for the Chicago Cubs. Now fans were back in the stands, packed house for the first time this season because of the COVID stuff that's been going on all over the world. Opening day 2.0 was the best day that ever happened in Major League Baseball. And honestly, it was a weekend that we all needed. The Cubs fans got their weekend, and they have been on cloud 9 since. But what about the St. Louis Cardinals this series? You want to know how in the world they got swept? I can answer that for you. Tommy Edman, 2 for 13 with a double, but he did strike out once. Dylan Carlson, 2 for 12, 2 runs, an RBI, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. So therefore, Paul Goldschmidt, he was 1 for 11 with a run. He had a walk, and he struck out twice. Nolan Arenado, 3 for 11 with a run, a home run, an RBI, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. So therefore, I'll give him the Now, Tyler O'Neill. How did he do this series? He was 2 for 10. Hold on here. Now leave me alone. He was 2 for 10 with a run, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. So therefore, for each strikeout, he gets a That's what Tommy Edman gets. He gets a buzzer for each strikeout that he had in this series. That's all there is to it. But the Chicago Cubs, what can I say? They get the job done at Wrigley again. This was a team that started out 11-15 to open April. Since April 29th, they have been 28-13. They swept their rival, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cubs are now back in possession of first place in the National League Central, surprisingly. But let's think about what the Cubs have done. The Cubs have swept the Cardinals at home. They swept the Mets. They swept the Padres. They swept the Braves. And they swept the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers at Wrigley Field. So therefore, the Cubs are getting the Well, the rest of those teams that have lost so far in this series, they're going to get the Cubs got the job done in the series. They swept them. So what's next for the Cubs? They're going to be facing the New York Mets. And I'm going to have a preview of that series, of the Cubs-Mets series, at Citi Field a little later on in the show. That's for later. But let's talk about the New York Mets while we're thinking about it. The New York Mets, they took 2 of 3 from the San Diego Padres. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody saw that coming. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen a team like that play so bad in all my life. Now, the Mets, they got the job done. Jacob deGrom, there was some concern about him. He had to leave the game on Friday with flexor tendonitis. However, at the end of the day, he's going to be back for his start on Wednesday. That is fantastic news. And in the game on Friday night, he pitched 6 innings, 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. That's really how the Mets got the job done. But anyway, there were some power hitters in this series. Francisco Lindor, 2 runs, a home run, 2 RBIs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. He was 3 for 11. So let's give him some love. Pete Alonso, he was 2 for 11 with a walk and 4 strikeouts. Dominic Smith. Anybody got some stock in him? You might want to think about this. He was 0 for 12, 0 for the series, but he did have an RBI and 4 strikeouts. Mason Williams, let's give him a little bit of love. He went 2 for 6 with a double, a run, and a walk. So let's give him a little bit of love. Now, the Mets won because of Jacob deGrom. That's all there is to it. That's why they took this series. It wasn't all because of deGrom, but it was a big part of it. And Francisco Lindor, he's now playing better. He's getting better now. But I'll tell you what, at 10 years, $341 million, and that would, if the Mets would have wasted all that money on them, they would have been screwed. But anyway, for the San Diego Padres, Tommy Pham, he was 5 for 10. 2 runs, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, but he struck out 4 times. Fernando Tatis Jr., he had a grand slam today. He had a granny, excuse Tweety Bird impersonation. But all in all, he was 4 for 13, 3 runs, 2 home runs, the grand slam, 5 RBIs, but he struck out 7 times. Let's see. Manny Machado. He was 4 for 10 with a home run, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. So, he gets a little bit of love here today. Eric Hosmer. He was 1 for 7 with a run and 2 walks. So, give him a little shock, because that's what he needs right now. The Mets took 2 or 3 from the Padres. The Mets face the Cubs this week. I'm going to talk about that Cubs-Mets series here in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. But there is another series involving the city of Chicago that I'm also going to talk about. The White Sox and the Rays. So stay tuned here after a bit. But first, I want to get to the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the Brooklyn Nets today, 107-96, and the Milwaukee Bucks are right back in this series. So now, here's the question. What happened today? Giannis Antetokounmpo, or the big man Giannis, like I like to call him, he had 34 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. But he's had huge support. Chris Middleton, today in Game 4, he had 19 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Drew Holiday, mark this name down, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. And let's give some love today to P.J. Tucker. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. So what happened to the Brooklyn Nets today? Kevin Durant, 28 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Kyrie Irving, he had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. However, and this is a biggie, he left the game with an ankle injury. Now, are the Brooklyn Nets in trouble? The Nets are in trouble because James Harden's hurt. And now you got Kyrie banged up and hurt. The Milwaukee Bucks could really cash in. And this is huge. The series tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5, I think Game 5 is going to be on Tuesday or Wednesday. And the Milwaukee Bucks could really do some more damage. They got one more at Milwaukee, and then they got to go to Brooklyn for Game 6. And if it's just Kevin Durant by himself, just the only starter for the big three, the Nets are in trouble. Because right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, they got Giannis, they got Middleton, they got Holiday, they got Tucker. Look out. It's going to get crazy. I thought I'd never see the day that the Milwaukee Bucks can get right back into this thing. You know how tough Brooklyn has been all season. But now, come crunch time in the playoffs, you're starting to see the real Brooklyn Nets, in my opinion. And that's all there is to it. And you saw what happened today in Milwaukee. And I'll tell you right now, there were fans at the Five Surf Center in Milwaukee today. They were chanting, Bucks in 6. Bucks in 6. And I'll tell you right now, if Durant gets hurt, it could be the Bucks in 6 at the rate we're going. And that's all there is to it. I have never seen a team like this play bad. And I mean, Durant, if he's the only player from the big three that goes in Game 5, New Brooklyn's in trouble. And that's all there is to it. So the question is, can the Brooklyn Nets come back? If Harden comes back, which I doubt, and if Irving does not play in Game 5, give the series to Milwaukee. Because right now, Giannis has all the support in the world. And that's all there is to it. Now, let's move on. We've had our first series sweep. The Phoenix Suns have swept the Denver Nuggets. The Phoenix Suns got the job done, and I'm just going to tell you right now, right from the word go, the Denver Nuggets were basically a nightmare and a train wreck. The Denver Nuggets were just a plain train wreck today. Now, I'll get to the Nuggets in a minute. But for the Phoenix Suns, they did a lot of damage. Chris Paul, 37 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. And by the way, the Suns did beat the Nuggets 125-118. And the Bucks beat the Brooklyn Nets 107-96. I almost forgot. My apologies. But anyway, Chris Paul, 37 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Huge today. Devin Booker, a double-double for him. 37 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Mikal Bridges, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. DeAndre Ayton, give him some love. 12 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. What a game it was for the Phoenix Suns. They sweep the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets right from the start were just a nightmare. And right now, the Nuggets organization feels like doing this. The Nuggets, but anyway, here are the Nuggets numbers real quick. Will Barton, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Nikola Jokic, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He had a double-double. But he got ejected from the game for having a flagrant foul on Phoenix Suns' Cameron Payne. What happened was Jokic threw a sideswipe Payne in frustration. It was a frustration moment. It was a flagrant 2. He got ejected from the game. And there were some fireworks today. And this is the same Nikola Jokic that got named the most valuable player before the series started. And he gets swept. Think about this in '89. Remember the 89? Remember back in 89 when Magic Johnson won league MVP? Go back to the NBA Finals. He got swept. Think about this. The Lakers got swept by the Pistons in 4 games. That's how ridiculous it could get. But anyway, Michael Porter Jr. had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block. Monty Morris had 19 points and 6 assists. The Denver Nuggets basically flat out quit, and I feel like just doing this right now. And that's the truth. You can buzz me all you want, you can zap me all you want, but the Denver Nuggets quit in this series. When they had that 123-98 loss at home, that embarrassment, I'm thinking the Nuggets don't care anymore. And it showed in this series. They tried to fight back, yes. But when you got Jokic getting ejected for throwing a side swipe at somebody and getting a flagrant 2, it's frustration. And that's all there is to it, my friends. And that's the bottom line. So, the Suns are going to move on. They get to relax and wait to see who they face. And it looks like it's going to be the Utah Jazz. But the LA Clippers may have something to say about that. And I'll show you why here in just, I'm going to tell you what's going on. The Los Angeles Clippers beat the Utah Jazz 132-106 on Saturday night. Kawhi Leonard, a big man himself, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Hey, I'm getting some comments here. Keep the comments coming, everybody. Please keep those comments coming. Paul George, 31 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. That was just unbelievable on his performance. Nicholas Bateman, 17.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Reggie Jackson, 17 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal in that game. Just unbelievable. That is how the Clippers won Game 3 on Saturday night. But for the Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell did have 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Joe Ingles, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal in the game. Rudy Gobert had 12 points, 10 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. And Royce O'Neal, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals off the bench. I'm just getting my comments here. Now, Game 4 of this series is going to be at 10 o'clock Monday night on TNT. And the truth of the matter is, you can see what can happen at any time. The Utah Jazz are still the odds-on favorites to win the NBA playoff, to win this series. Yes, they are. I'm not going to lie. But the Clippers, they made one great game out of it. Now, here's the deal. Yeah, I hope that does happen. The Nets may sign them. I hope that does happen. I'll come back to the Nets here after a bit. But I'm going to tell you this. The bottom line is, if the Clippers do come back and make a series of this, it's going to be something to think about. That means if all that does is help out the Phoenix Suns a little bit more. That's the truth of the matter. Game 4 of this series between the Clippers and the Jazz will be at 10 o'clock Monday night on TNT. And that's going to be a fun series to watch. And that is the facts, people. That's the facts. Now, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks. Game 4 of this series is going to be on Monday night. And this is going to be a fun one. The 76ers did beat the Hawks 127-111 on Friday night. Joel Embiid, he's back in a big way, baby. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 3 block shots. Give him some love. Tobias Harris, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. What a game for him. Ben Simmons, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. Seth Curry, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And Dwight Howard, you need to give him some love, guys. He had 12 points, 6 rebounds off the bench. That was huge. But for the Atlanta Hawks, hey, what can I say? Trae Young did his best. Trae Young, 28 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. John Collins, 28 points, 7 rebounds, not enough. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 19 points, 4 rebounds. Danilo Gallinari, 17 points, 3 rebounds in that game, but it wasn't enough. Game 4 of this series between the Hawks and the 76ers will be tomorrow night on TNT at 7:30. Now, you got the Game 3 recap. What will happen in Game 4? All it boils down to is Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. The 76ers have a big 3. The 76ers do have a big 3. Yes. Are they better than Brooklyn's big 3? We don't know. But right now, the Brooklyn Nets are in trouble. That's all there is to it, my friends. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be an interesting series. We'll see what happens in Game 4 between the Hawks and the 76ers. Mark my words, this series is going to get better by the second. And that's all I have to say about that on this night. Now I want to go back to Major League Baseball because we have 2 big series. Both of them involve the city of Chicago. The Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago White Sox. Oh, I won't forget Natrick Gaines. I will not forget to look him up. I will not forget about him. You have my word. I will look up Gaines Adams before I forget. Well, I won't. I'll look him up at another time. Now, Tyler Glasnow. Now, the Rays face the White Sox in a very important series, and this is a huge one. This is a battle for the best record in the American League. The Rays own it by a half a game, and this is a huge one. And if you think about what the Tampa Bay Rays have done so far, you'll see why. The Monday night matchup, and this is the matchup tomorrow night. Tyler Glasnow, he has a 5-2 record with a 2.57 ERA, 117 strikeouts to his credit. And the Chicago White Sox will be sending Lance Lynn to the mound. He has a 7-1 record with a 1.23 ERA and 72 strikeouts on the season. The Tuesday matchup, I know, I'm looking forward to that. Now on Tuesday, the Tampa Bay Rays will be sending Shane McClanahan. He has a 2-1 record with a 4.54 ERA and 30 strikeouts on the season. The Chicago White Sox, they will be sending Dallas Keuchel. He has a 5-1 record with a 4.14 ERA and 41 Ks on this season. That's going to be fun. Wednesday night, and this is another matchup. The Tampa Bay Rays will be sending Ryan Yarbrough to the mound with a 4-3 record, a 3.63 ERA, and 59 strikeouts on the season. And who will the Chicago White Sox be sending? Lucas Giolito. Despite the 5-5 record, he has a 3.81 ERA and 96 strikeouts to his credit. Both teams are sending out the heavy guns to go to the mound with this 3-game set. And for the White Sox, I will say this. If you get past this 3-game set and take 2 out of 3, if you get a sweep, you got to face the Houston Astros. And that is not going to be fun. Yeah, you got that right. They need to put it. Either the White Sox or the Rays are going to need Usain Bolt. Both of them can use them. However, neither team does not have Usain Bolt, but they do have some great offense. And think about this. Joey Wendell, he has a 286 batting average for the Rays, 7 home runs, and 30 RBIs. Austin Meadows, he has a 233 batting average, 14 home runs, 45 RBIs. Yandy Diaz. He's hitting 254 right now, but he has an on-base percentage of 391 and 23 RBIs to his credit. Randy Arizona. Can't pronounce his name, my apologies. He has a 261 batting average, 8 home runs, 34 RBIs, 62 hits. He could be the Usain Bolt for the Tampa Bay Rays. Really. But for the Chicago White Sox, on the other side of the ball, Nick Mandegrail. He has a 305 batting average, only 2 home runs and 21 RBIs. But he's hitting 305, people. He's hitting 305 right now. Think about that. Jan Makeda. He's a fast guy, too. He's hitting 280 right now, and he has a 402 on-base percentage, 5 home runs, 32 RBIs, and he could be a big help, too. Jose Abreu, another one to think about. 262 batting average, 11 home runs, 49 RBIs. I'm just going to come right out and say it's going to get interesting. Now, Tim Anderson, give him some love. A 299 batting average, 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, 63 hits on the season. Yerman Mercedes, he's hitting 290 right now. Mercedes has been running like a Ferrari and like Usain Bolt if you stop to think about it. He has 7 home runs and 34 RBIs to his credit on the season. And that's the fact. And that's the truth of the matter. Oh, shut up. Now, let's move on. This series is a huge one. This is a huge series, people. That's all there is to it. White Sox, Rays, a huge series this week. And it starts on Monday night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 of the biggest games in the series. The battle for the best record in the American League is at stake. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the White Sox survive this, they got 4 against Houston. It doesn't get any easier for the leaders in the American League Central. We'll see who owns the best record in the American League after the game on Wednesday. And may the best team win. And that's all I have to say. All right. Let's move on. The Mets face the Cubs in a very important matchup this week. I've already talked about the Mets and the Cubs in different ways. However, this week, starting on Monday, the Cubs and the Mets have a 3-game set at Citi Field. The Monday matchup is going to be an interesting one. For the Chicago Cubs, Jake Arrieta is going to be going to the mound. He has a 5-6 record with a 4.97 ERA and 48 Ks to his credit. Who are the Mets sending to the mound? David Peterson. A 1-5 record with a 6.32 ERA and 53 Ks. I shouldn't sound like that, but when you see a 1-5 record, it's a nightmare. On Tuesday, the Chicago Cubs are going to send Alec Mills to the mound. He has a 2-0 record with a save, a 6.08 ERA, and 15 strikeouts to his credit. The Mets are going to be sending Tajon Walker to the mound. With a 5-2 record and a 2.07 ERA, he has 60 strikeouts this season. The Chicago Cubs starter on Wednesday is going to be a mystery. And you're wondering why. Right now, the New York Mets are going to be sending Jacob deGrom to the mound. He has a 6-2 record with a 0.56 ERA and 103 strikeouts on the season. And as far as I'm concerned, barring any major setback, he's going to be the National League MVP. But as far as the hitting for the Cubs and the Mets, it's very interesting. And you'll see what I mean. You'll think mismatch. However, at the end of the day, Chris Bryant, he has a 297 batting average and a 377 OBP. 13 home runs, 39 RBIs, and 66 hits. Javier Baez, right now, he's hitting 236 with 14 home runs and 40 RBIs to his credit. Anthony Rizzo, right now, he's hitting 265 with 7 home runs, 29 RBIs, and he could be a huge threat. For the New York Mets, and then this is a Mets team that's starting to play better. Now that they're like 8 games above 500. Francisco Lindor. He's the guy that's been struggling. But he's now hitting 220 with 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 46 hits. Do you think the Indians want him back? I don't know for sure. Pete Alonso. He's hitting 262. He leads the team, and he also has a OBP of 348 with 10 home runs and 31 RBIs to his credit. And Dominic Smith, despite the setbacks that he had over the weekend, he's hitting 237 with 4 home runs and 21 RBIs to his credit. The Cubs-Mets series at Citi Field is going to be a fun one, if you stop and think about it. The only $64,000 question we have is, who are the Cubs going to send to the mound on Wednesday to face Jacob deGrom? That's the only question that we have that needs to be answered at this hour. We don't know, and we probably won't find out until the last moment. So keep that in mind, everybody. Keep that in mind. And now let's go back. We need to talk about the NASCAR Cup Series. The NASCAR Cup Series had their big All-Star night at the Texas Motor Speedway, and Kyle Larson picked up a check for $1 million. Brad Keselowski came home second. The top 6 were basically the Hendrick Racing Stable and the Penske operation. And, of course, you had the Busch brothers rounding out the top 10. What a night it was at the Texas Motor Speedway. It was a great race. Not a lot of crashing, but a lot of beating and banging all the way to the checkered flag. And I'll tell you right now, I actually enjoyed All-Star Night. And think about who won the last 2. Kyle Larson won it in 2019. And this time, Kyle Larson, once again, came home the winner on All-Star Night. He got the job done. Did any of you guys have a chance to see the Indy cars on Belle Isle in Detroit? That was we had 2 back-to-back great races. Marcus Ericsson scored his first IndyCar win despite 2 red flags and Will Power not be able to recrank his car at the end of the first race on Saturday with just a few laps to go. Pato O'Ward scored his second win of the season and winning his second race on Belle Isle. So what's next for the Indy cars? The Indy cars go to Road America. And the NASCAR Cup Series will be going to Nashville for a race. I think it's going to be a Sunday night matinee. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But what a weekend in the sports world it was. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts on this night. We had a great weekend in the world. We had a great weekend in the sports world. We saw Wrigley Field packed to capacity over the weekend for a 3-game set against the Cardinals, which they scored a sweep. The New York Mets have proven they can run with the big dogs now. Now that Francisco Lindor is playing better. We saw Kyle Larson take home $1 million tonight after winning an All-Star race. The Denver Nuggets get swept after Nikola Jokic wins league MVP. Now the next question coming out of this is: Are the Brooklyn Nets going to go home sooner than they expected? Two of the big 3 are hurt, and that's the bottom line. This weekend was a great weekend, but we have a busy week coming up. And I'm going to do a wrap-up of that busy week on Friday during the weekend kickoff show. And I'm going to say this. And I'm going to say this now. We're going to have an interesting run. And we'll wait and see what happens. But the truth of the fact is, it was a great weekend in the sports world. And we'll have to wait and see what happens going forward. And that's the bottom line on this night. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me. I will be back this Friday at 12 noon for the Scott Meeting weekend, for the Scott Meetings YouTube weekend kickoff show, and I'll have the weekend wrap on Sunday night at 11:30. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this night. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me, and God bless. Good night, everybody, and I thank you.